Let's just focus now. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has been making waves with his electoral promises on immigration, inflation and a host of other issues. In about 7 weeks from now, Trump will assume office. But with each passing week, new reports emerge on the potential actions he may take. Our story today is on transgenders and them serving in the U.S. military. If a U.S. media report is to be believed, Donald Trump is preparing to sign an executive order as America's 47th president, removing transgender soldiers from the military. The new order is reportedly more controversial than the directive Trump passed in his first time. When Trump was last in office, he signed an order banning transgender individuals from serving in the military. However, active personnel were allowed to continue their service. In 2021, U.S. President Joe Biden issued an executive order to overturn this ban. In his first week in office, the new policy was approved and implemented in June of 2021. If Trump implements his new directive, the order will impact over 15,000 transgender soldiers, and critics say that the decision severely harms the American military on multiple fronts. As per a report, the U.S. military fell short of meeting its recruitment goal by 41,000 personnel. Additionally, discharging over 15,000 active soldiers would increase the burden and, of course, impact a unit's cohesion. And to get us some perspective on this important story, we are now being joined by Garland Nixon from Maryland. He is a political analyst and a radio show host. Mr. Nixon, good to see you again. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you for inviting me.
The last Trump administration that we saw back in 2019, when he came up with a similar proposition and then went on to implement it, we saw a lot of protests, we saw a lot of lawsuits, and one of the sticking points of that was that there is no data to back that the trans community is any inferior to serving in the military. Has anything changed in the last 5 years?
Well, what has changed is, I believe, the issue of cultural backlash. Unfortunately, there are many people, such as myself, who strongly back and support rights, full rights for gay and trans people. However, there were some issues that needed to be nuanced. We needed to discuss trans persons competing in sports with women. And these were not issues of morality. These were issues of physics and science that people felt were important to discuss. Unfortunately, the recent administration lumped everything together and didn't allow a nuanced conversation about these cultural changes. And as the old saying goes, for every what is it? Well, I forget the term, but the bottom line is this: what we're getting is a cultural pushback. What we're getting is getting people now who have it's swinging from one side all the way to the other. And the problem is we didn't have a robust conversation. And I think it's unfortunate because trans people are going to pay the price for that.
I understand what you're saying, but if we could quickly broaden our lens a little bit, Mr. Nixon, and think about trans people not just in the military but otherwise, because a lot of trans people since Donald Trump's electoral victory have been registering their worry, in fact, under a second Trump presidency. To be very specific, even Elon Musk's trans daughter, she has gone to the extent of saying she might even leave the country. So how should this community look at the next 4 years?
I do think it's going to be quite difficult for trans people for the next 4 years. And I think they are going to suffer a cultural backlash. I mean, keep in mind, Donald Trump won in an absolute blowout. So he does have the political capital to make these kind of take these kind of controversial actions based on how much he won. And additionally, he has the House, he has the Senate, and of course, if these things are challenged and go up to the Supreme Court, the Republicans have the Supreme Court. So yes, trans people should be quite concerned. I do believe that if we are allowed to have a robust discussion about this, then some of the a lot of the anti-trans sentiment here will start to subside. I was going to say earlier, for every revolution, there's a counter-revolution, and that's what we're looking at right now. And hopefully, we can talk our way through this and move forward.
Right. I don't know if hope will be enough for the trans community, but thank you so much for joining us on this show, Mr. Nixon. Always good to speak to you.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.